Hi, my name is Deborah Bowles, and I'm a coordinator in the Professional and Organizational Development Department. And this webinar will be about keeping students engaged. So a lot of the items that I refer to are on this Padlet site. So if you go to padlet.com and type in keeping students engaged, you should find this resource. So how do you keep students engaged? Well, from the very beginning, maybe you could do an entrance ticket or ask them to write on a whiteboard. This is from a Pear Deck, and if you're not familiar with Pear Deck, there is a video on the Padlet that talks about how to incorporate it. But Padlet is a slide presentation that allows students to write on the slides, but in Blackboard, you can use a whiteboard as well. You could always have them type in the chat too what you're going to be talking about today. So today we're going to be talking about global warming. What do you already know about global warming? And they get to write 2 ideas. We're going to be talking about conservation. What do you already know about conservation? So it's a great way to get the students involved and thinking before you even begin your presentation. So the objective of this webinar is that you walk away with at least 2 new ideas that you can use to keep your students engaged. So I've already started with another engagement idea, and that is to start with a clear why. At the beginning, the students should know what's in it for me. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to give you a reason to stay engaged because at the end of it, it's something for you. You will walk away with at least 2 new ideas to keep you engaged. It was not about what I, as the teacher, wanted to accomplish. If it was what I wanted to accomplish, I would share something like this. Well, I plan to give you clear expectations, talk about sharing resources, using interactive PowerPoint slides, videos, guided notes, KWL charts, choice boards, gamification. I mean, you can see how overwhelming that can be. And it's not student focused. It's more about what I, as the teacher, hope to accomplish. When I go into classrooms, I see slides like this as an opening slide. It shows the objective and then all the things that the teacher hopes to accomplish, but it doesn't look at it from the student perspective. You're already disengaging the students because you're looking at it from the teacher's perspective and what you hope to accomplish, and you don't have an answer as to what's in it for them. I realize that a lot of the PowerPoint slides come from publishers, but I worked for a publishing company, and the majority of writers in a publishing company do not have a background in education. So they are writing lesson plans and they are creating slides, but yet they do not have a background in teaching. So on the Padlet, I give some slides about do's and don'ts of PowerPoint slides, and this slide has a lot of don'ts in it. One is you should not have more than 5 points on a slide. And this one has, 7 if you include the first part. And each part of your 5 points should not be more than 5 words. It's sort of a 5-5 rule. And one of them has, I can't even count how many. Another rule is that everything is in black. And so my brain is not really differentiating everything. It's lumping things together. It may be pulling out a word. I keep seeing configure, and I might remember that, but I certainly don't remember all the details that come after it. So make your slides more student focused. Your slide could be something as simple as this. Our objective is to configure disk and volumes. They don't need to know all the details of what you hope to accomplish. And then put a point as to why it's useful for them. Because coders who have mastered this skill earn over 80K a year. I'm not sure if that's true, so don't tell me I don't know. You are the content expert. You should be able to give them a valid reason every time they're learning something as to why this is important for them. What else can you do to keep your students engaged? Share your resources. You should have a folder in Blackboard or several folders with the PowerPoint slides, with some guided notes, with some videos, things that they can use to keep them engaged in the lesson. I must admit, once I was watching a presentation online and I got distracted and I was doing something else. And when I looked up, they were 2 slides ahead of me. And I wanted to go back to see what I had missed, but I could not because they did not share the slides with me. So if the slides are shared and if a student realizes, ooh, I missed something, they can always go back and refer to the slides later. Guided notes we'll talk about a little bit later, and hopefully you're sharing the videos that you use in class as well. Sometimes students want to see the video again, or they want to see more of the video than you shared. They should easily have that link in there. So when I talk about the guided notes, it's basically this gradual release of responsibility than education we are supposed to be doing. And we hope that when students come to college that they are at the lower level of independent and they can do it on their own, but some of them are not. And so we still have to give them some guides. They don't know how to take notes. So give them guided notes, which is basically a rough outline and partially filled in outline of your lecture so that they can follow along and learn how to take notes. Some of these students are trying to write everything that someone is saying, and that's not what you do when you take notes. So you have to give them some guides. So what do guided notes look like? There's actually a template in the Padlet that you are free to download and use, but it's basically an outline of your lecture that leaves spaces for the students to fill in key concepts, facts, definitions. It could be something that is general enough that they could use every class. It could be, what is the subject? What are we talking about today? What are some new vocabulary that have been introduced? What questions do you still have about this, and what do you hope to learn? So you don't have to make it very specific for every class, but they should have a guideline that they can use to take notes. Use videos. Hopefully use videos a lot. Videos are a great way to engage the students, and it gives them another view besides yours. So you can use the videos to teach, you can use them to inspire, or you can use them to make a connection. I'm not going to show all the videos. Again, they're on the Padlet. There's a great one about algebra and why is algebra so hard, but the volume isn't that good. So I'm going to go with another one about inspiring students to be coders.
When you're programming, you're teaching possibly the stupidest thing in the entire universe, a computer, how to do something.
Programming is one of the only things in the world that you can do where you can sit down and just make something completely new from scratch, whatever you want.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something, or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned, and I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but what isn't?
So hopefully you can see how using a video is engaging, it's something different, and hopefully it would inspire them. I hope that you're familiar with some other video options out there. There's ed.ted.com that has very short videos where you can insert questions and it can be specific to your content area, and they're wonderful. Another website that I've heard about for videos is edpuzzle.com. Again, very short videos that you can insert your own questions so that students watch for 2 minutes and then they have to answer a question. And it's a great way to make sure the students are engaging with the video. Use polls. You can do polls in Blackboard. This again is Pear Deck, where you can insert a poll, but always have a backup. If the Pear Deck doesn't work or you can't quite get the poll written in Blackboard by the time you want students to use it, just have them type in the chat. It doesn't have to be difficult. Just ask them the question. Do you think genetically modified organisms are good, bad, unsure, don't know? And then in the chat, they can just type what they think. But polls are a great way to interact with your students and keep them engaged. This idea actually comes from an article, again in the Padlet, that talks about, I think it's 20 ways to make your lectures more engaging. Use a KWL chart. So KWL is what do you know about this topic, what do you want to know, and then afterwards, what have you learned? I like to add another column that says, what do I still want to know? Because sometimes in education, we make students think that we've taught them everything they need to know about that subject. But we haven't. I'm sure we haven't. They might still want to know something else. And I think that really encourages students to be lifelong learners and to go out there and research and find answers for themselves. Here's another way. It's called try it, talk it, color it, check it. It's very similar to think, pair, share. There's just another step in it. So try it, you try the problem alone. Talk it, you work it out, you talk it out with a peer or with a group. Then you color it. So this gets into using the breakout groups. I love the breakout groups. So they try the problem alone for a minute. Then you pair them or put them in a group to see if they can figure it out together. And then they have some sort of code to let you know, okay, we're done, but we may need help. So it could be a red, we think we have it wrong, but we finished it. We're yellow, we're not sure, or we're green, we think we have it right. one thing about education is you can get creative. If you can't find the red, yellow, green on your blackboard, then fine. Then have them do a smiley face if they think they have it right, and a frowny face if they think they have it wrong, and a neutral face if they're not sure. It's open to you to use what you have and to change it. And then they check it. So I can see when they put a smiley face by their group. And so I'll go to that group and say, okay, you guys think you've got it right. Talk to me. What was your answer? So try it, talk it, color it, check it. Find content related sites. You are content experts. You should know some sites that are useful for your students. Someone introduced this one to me, and again, I'm not a content expert, but I hope that it is useful to someone. It does 3D dimensions, and it also does circuits and designs. So it's called tinkercad.com. You can type in the Google search like science simulations, math simulations, and sites do populate. So search. Give the students choice boards. So this was for, I think, a 3-hour, almost 4-hour class. So we had tons of time. So in the first part, they got to choose whether they wanted to work on their own or work as a group. And they were doing the same thing, but in the group, they just got to discuss and work with other people. And then we come back together and share out. And then in the second one, maybe I'd had them watching a video, and then we came back together. And then the last one, they might have been working on a case study. So find something that is relevant to your discipline. I had one teacher say, I might even add another section under each that says meet with the teacher. So that if somebody wanted to talk with me about something, and office hours aren't used very much, maybe they would come and talk to me during class. Gamification sites, I'm sure you're familiar with some of them. So if that is something that you like to use or try it, Kahoot.com, Quizzes.com are some very common ones that I know of. I was talking to one teacher and they said, but I don't want to try it for the first time with my students. And I thought, you know what? It's going to be the first time with somebody. You've got to try it, and it's okay. I still remember the first time I did breakout groups with my students. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I said, if you get kicked off, just come back in, but we're going to try it and see what happens. And I was like, okay, here we go. And I clicked on the button and everything worked fine. But there have been times where things haven't worked. And I just tell them, you know what, I'm just trying this. And if it doesn't work, I'll have a backup. We'll try something else. But you've got to be okay with just trying. Another site that I found is jeopardylabs.com, where you can create your own questions and you can create teams, and it's a great way to keep the students engaged. And then I might end the class with an exit ticket. So before they leave, they have to type in a private chat to me, like one idea that they learned from class today. And that gives me a great way to make sure that students did get something out of the class, or that might even be, what question do you still have about what we taught today? So hopefully you got at least 2 new ideas about keeping students engaged, and I hope you try something. If you ever have questions, please feel to reach out to me at bowlesdm@pgc.edu. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Take care.